Hello, and I am back once again. Welcome to the Dick and Conversation podcast. I'm Elissa. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you want to contact me, you can reach me through my socials. My social Facebook page is Dick and Conversation podcast page. My YouTube channel is Dick and Conversation podcast. Like, subscribe, share. I always forget that. I always forget it. My Instagram is Dick and Conversation _podcast. My blue sky is Dick and Convo dot social dot B sky dot social. Wow, I always forget that one. And my email is dickandconvo@gmail.com. So I first of all have to come out the gate and thank Big Rell, who was my guest on the very last episode. Big Rell, baby. Big Rell is a force. She is a force. I love her honesty. I loved her transparency. I love her willingness to be vulnerable. I mean, Big Rell had me crying on my own podcast. And I've talked about being suicidal. I've talked about a whole lot of other stuff. Things that death of my best friend. I've talked about death of my dad. I've talked about my divorce and things with my children. And that didn't make me cry. But talking with Big Rell and allowing her to be as vulnerable as she wanted to be and her vulnerability coming through touched my heart. It just touched my heart. So Big Rell, thank you once again. She was also here promoting Saginaw 989 Day. If you are in Saginaw, Michigan, you got to be in Michigan. Saginaw, Michigan. Saginaw, Michigan. 989 Day will take place on September 8th. That is the 989 in Saginaw, Michigan. More details to come. Look for it on social media. I will promote it on my pages as well. She's a community activist. Like, she loves the community. She loves the people in the community. We come from the same community, but we didn't have the same experience. I lived a very sheltered lifestyle. I lived very sheltered. My parents just kept me very sheltered. I didn't go to the parties and dances and hang out in the neighborhood. I didn't even go to the neighborhood parties. Like, I went to Bible study and school, choir rehearsal and school, church and school, Sunday school and schools. So I lived a very sheltered lifestyle. And not only that, I had tons of brothers. So my brothers were like, stay home, go home. And when you get there, stay there. So I didn't get a chance to become as involved and enveloped in the community as I would have liked to. So chances are, if you know me from Saginaw, we went to school together, or we went to church together, or we end up working together. So I appreciate Big Rell's love. It is very infectious. It got me wanting to be involved. I don't live in Saginaw anymore, but home is home. Home will always be home. There's no place like home. And I'm willing to help however I can. So, Big Rell, thank you so much. So, if you want to get more details, you can follow her social media, Rell Tyler, on Facebook, or Big Big _ Rell 2026 on Instagram. More information about Saginaw's 989 Day will be available on there. And then there are others that will be too. 42 Yat Life Chronicles Yat also promoting 989. So that is kind of great. Kev Marshall Media Universe also promoting 99. So you'll begin to see it in your timeline, hopefully, especially those in the Saginaw community. I do want to thank her once again. She had me crying. And I'm not a crier, but her spirit touched mine, and it was just awesome. So thank you, Big Rell. Now, once again, as I stated, I'm going to begin explaining the name of this podcast in every episode. So why is my podcast called Dick and Conversation Podcast? It is because I was married to my ex-husband for 11 years. We have been together 15 total. I thought I did it right. I did like 2 years dating, 2 years engaged, Then we got married. Then we waited 4 years to have children. Then we adopted our babies. And then we stayed together for 11 years total. And then marriage fell apart. Happens every day. Somebody fall out of love, somebody. A lot of times people stay in the marriage. I chose not to. My ex-husband had fallen in love with someone else. And I chose not to stay in the an effort of love. So I left, But when you a traditional wife and you live in hand to mouth, his hand in your mouth, you don't have much to leave with. So you don't have a job or a bed or a car or a truck or health insurance. You have to start all over to get those things that were once provided by your spouse, which is what I had to do. And then I amassed all those things and had left. Like I said, career took off, got a place, got a car, kids did well. I began to do well. And I decided to date again. And as Larissa once said, the dating pool full of piss. It's a pissy pool. That's still funny. Uh, it's a pissy pool. But I began to date, and as I discovered, sometimes those things just do not work out for whatever reason. But I never took another L after that. Yes, I had to start over after the divorce, but after that other stuff, them other jokers didn't work out. I didn't take an L. Everything was still rolling. And then I realized the only thing those people who did not stay in my life to contribute to my life took with them when they left, or I left behind when I left, was dick and conversation. Financially, I was okay. Emotionally, I was okay. Spiritually, I was okay because God was like, you jumped in it. It drew me closer to God. So spiritually, I was okay. Psychologically, I was okay. And that's why I say I'm still cool with everybody to this day. So that is the Dick and Conversation podcast name. That's where it comes from, because I believe in telling my cautionary tales that women should be empowered to learn from my mistakes and not put themselves in a situation that if he decides he doesn't want to be here, you should still have a place to lay your head, because I did not. I had to start all over. And I've had people ask, well, Alyssa, why you didn't take the bed from the house when you got a divorce? That bed had been defiled. I get what I'm saying. It had been used by others, not just me and him. Well, him and others. But it had been used. So I didn't want to recycle that bed. They could have that joke. So I had to start all over. No woman should be in a position where a person embedded themselves into your life, or you had them embedded into your life so much that when this falls apart, you don't have a place to lay your head. And that's the name of the podcast, Why I Have. So I also wanted to go, I'm going to talk about this. This is one time. I mentioned it in a TikTok video, but I wanted to kind of like touch on it because everybody's talking about it. Cheyenne Bryant, who I think she finally, I don't know if she removed the doctor from in front of her name or she's just coined the term and trademarked it as being Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, people are hating on her, this and other. Why? What difference does it make if the name is in front of it? There's Dr. Seuss, Dr. Dre, Dr. J, all these different doctors. Why is that a problem? Being that I have healthcare professionals in my family and they have doctors, and I've looked up their dissertations to, read their dissertations, and they put in years and years and years of work. It does matter to make sure that you present yourself as a true professional who can truly assist, and has been trained and certified and reviewed and, confirmed as being a person who is able to assist with mental health challenges. Me, having been in therapy, went to therapy. I'm for therapy. I'm a big proponent of therapy. If I found out that the psychiatrist that I was seeing for years was not an actual psychiatrist or was not board certified or state recognized, I would have had an issue with that, because I was speaking to this person in the most vulnerable way possible of all the things about me, seeking not necessarily a cure, but guidance on how to improve my life, and trusting and believing that they had been instructed on giving the best advice possible of getting me through that, because I have spoken on being suicidal, And if I'm a suicidal individual and I'm seeking help and assistance because I'm having difficulty coping with what my life is presenting at this time, I would hope and pray and hope that the person who is telling me the information to how to cope and to deal and how to recuperate and deal with the issues that I'm dealing with mentally and emotionally, that they know what the hell they're talking about. So that's kind of my take on it. But here's my other take on this. Here's my other take on Cheyenne Bryant, or Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, whichever way you want to address her. I don't think she meant it to blow up like this. I don't think she had any idea that when she was doing this, how big it would get. Like I don't think she knew that it would become this national phenomenon or international. She's across the seas, oceans. I don't think she knew that it would become this big, where the things she said would be reviewed heavily, particularly by the African American community, and people would want to have validation of her education and have her doctorate verified. I don't think she knew it would get like this. And that's why we're kind of seeing her, as they say on the internet, crash out. Shit, call it crash and burn. Oops, sugar. I call it crash and burn. But I don't think she knew that it would get that big. And I sort of believe deep down there was a desire to be of assistance to people. Of course, you want to make some money too. I mean, hey, who don't want to make money? I'm doing this. It's my passion project. But if I got the opportunity to make some money from this too, come on. But I don't think that her intent was just to fully do this as a money making scheme, scam, grift. I think she had an intent to really assist, but to also make money on it. And it kind of just snowballed. And one thing I would say about the African American community, we believe in accountability. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. If you're watching this, we had this conversation the other day about a lot of times they'll say, well, black women tear black women down, or black women tear black men down, or black women tear white women down. I don't know if it's always tearing down. For whatever reason, we as black women tend to have a high level belief in accountability. We just believe in accountability. That's why when it comes to things that happen in school, did you do that? What did you do? There needs to be some kind of consequences, like your grandmama, your aunties, your cousins, your sisters. Women just black in African American community, we just believe in accountability. And I think we tend to hold people to that level because, in all honesty, I almost feel like sometimes society holds us accountable. Very, very much so. That's why I always say you have to work twice as hard to get half as much. Papa Pope, Scandal. If you don't know, go watch. So accountability tends to be one of those things that we as African American women just tend to hold in our wheelhouse. So the fact of we're recognizing that someone in our sisterhood, in our community, has presented something that wasn't necessarily completely true. We do just believe in holding someone accountable. And like I said, I don't think maybe this is just the green in me. Maybe this is the Michigan State green, deep green in me. I really don't think that Cheyenne Bryant intended for this to get as big as it got. I didn't think she knew how famous she would become or how sought after it would become, to where people would actually go and review her credentials. Hell, she made me so paranoid I went back online to see was mine still. My teacher's certificates. And I knew they expired, but I wanted to make sure if anybody ever checked my certifications, and my sociology, history, and psychology certifications was still there. I think I saw that online a few times where people were like, I checked mine. I looked my dissertation up. I looked up my stuff. It made me a little paranoid too. Like, is my stuff still there? It's under my old name, but that's all right. It's still online. So that's my take on Dr. or not Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I don't think she meant I just choose to believe she made good. It just got out of control. Okay, so there's my other. I have one more little take before I jump into my story. Well, maybe I won't do a story. Maybe this is just a hot take episode. I don't think I've ever done a hot take episode. So here's my other hot take: NBA playoffs. Let me sip before I say this. Now, I'm a Michigan girl. I live in Michigan, and I was rooting for the Pistons. No secret there. Go back a couple episodes, I'll still say go Pistons. Still say go Pistons. And even on my social media, I had a little fake picture of me and Cade Cunningham. He's such a little cutie. Cade, if you single, I have some nieces. I got two of them. Beautiful, beautiful girls. Single. College educated. Cade Cunningham, get in touch with me. So anyway, I was going for the Pistons. But the playoffs have started. Pistons did not make it. And I didn't want to buy into the conspiracy theory of the NBA being rigged, but some of the stuff that I'm looking at, like, okay, see, you all on that floor, crashing on that floor, laying on that floor. Y'all gotta stop that. Me, as a black woman, being accountable. Y'all get y'all butts up off that floor. Stop falling on that floor. That's not necessary. And I know it was controversial where they had already ran the commercial of the Cavaliers going against the New York Knicks. If that's true, Silver, you got to do better. You gotta reel this thing in. It's out of control. But here's my other little take on this. FanDuel and DraftKings, I think y'all running that league. I think right now the gambling is so, I don't know what's the word for it. I'm thinking like prevalent, so powerful right now that's what's driving the league. It's you even see the advertisement across the scorers desk, DraftKings, FanDuel, DraftKings. And I think if at a given point you have money in on it and there's so much money being generated. I know people who bet FanDuel every day. Every day. We've all heard of the parlay. But, it seems a little sus where we have these people who end up on the line quite a bit. They get the and one and the fouls, and we're seeing fouls that aren't really fouling. I'm just wondering, like, what's going on? That's my take. Have I played FanDuel before? Yes, I have. Have I done it for NBA? Oh, yes, I have. I was going to say no, I didn't, but yes, I have. So at this point, I'm being a little hypocritical, but I haven't done it this season. But anyway, I feel bad for the Pistons. They sound like a true Michigander or Michiganian. We'll get them next year. We'll do it next year. So that's my hot take on that. I can't believe I'm doing a whole hot take. This was, by the way, this was not the episode I started out to record. I had a whole topic about getting the woman that you want, or men. Now, it was multi-layered, but men complaining about how they don't like women. Not that they're homosexual, but they just don't like women. And I had a whole take on this, but this turned into a bit of a hot take, which, okay, I could dig it. So, since I'm on hot takes, my mind is just spiraling because I'm having a Gemini moment. Well, Gemini season, hey, my birthday's in 9 days. I'll be 53. So, another Gemini moment. The Ray J knockout and the Chris Brown reaction. Having grown up with 4 brothers in house, 5 altogether, that reaction was so organic. Like, who laughs at you more than your friends? And even as women, I'm sorry, but which one of us have not been out with our girls to go drinking at night and one of us fall off a bar stool or fall in the bushes or trip and the rest of us just crack up laughing? Like, it's absolutely hilarious. We've all been there. So to see Ray J, bless his heart, wasn't he just dying a couple weeks ago? Like he said he was dying and his mama said he was dying. See, when they get to talking like that, that's why I be like suspect, because we still watch the whole Brandy wedding. That wasn't really a wedding. So, don't get at me, Brandy fans, or anybody Brandy Camp or Ray J Camp or anybody, but I'm just making an observation. I'm making an observation. That whole thing, Chris Brown's reaction was just, absolutely hilarious because that's what friends do. They laugh when you fall and get your butt spanked, get your brakes beat off of you. That's what friends do. It's absolutely funny. By the way, we need to get a my daughter and I are going to the Chris Brown Usher concert. Little Pookie and I are going. But we can't figure out what's the thing. I mean, we got too many. I mean, Breezy Bowl, it was clear cut. Cardi's tour, the theme's clear cut. Mary J. Blige, everybody was in their boots. We still got to figure out what it. I've heard grown and sexy. I've heard video vixens. I've heard 99s and 2000s. But what does that look like? Because I'm old. And I got an old lady body. I'm auntie. I can't dress like no video vixen. I got an auntie body. So those of us aunties that are going to see Usher, and Chris Brown, we need something we can vibe to. And if some y'all little young girls say, well, you probably shouldn't be going, I'm sorry. I'm the one that paid for the tickets for me and Lil Pookie. She 19, I'll be 53. We going. So we need a clear-cut theme. If it's grown and sexy, because every time I look at the little advertisement, they're in suits with the tie open and the shirt slightly open. So I already got mine. Like I'm going grown sexy, but just in case, just something different. I'm throwing me a little short suit with a little blazer or something. Throw me a little open tie, loose tie. I got plenty of ties around here for my son, who's gone now. I'm officially an empty nester. I'm an empty nester now. Which brings me to my next topic. A friend of mine who I talked to asked me, Alyssa, are you ready to start back dating now? Now, y'all know, I've already told some stories on here about the people I've dated. I've talked about, I wasn't dating, but whatever that was, a married man and the cub who was like a whole decade and some change younger than me, and the guy who was sitting on the side of the bed when I woke up. Just one I still ain't talked about. I almost talked about him. And just, the one with the kids, had a lot of kids, and, I've talked about dating. So I told him, yes, I am officially at the point where I'm ready to get back into dating because I trust myself now. I had trust issues, not where I felt someone would cheat on me, but I had trust issues of myself that I would not be the best version of me and being in a partnership or seeing someone. So I was going to hold off. But I think I'm ready now. I think. Scratch my head. I think I'm ready now. I do believe that it's possible that I'm ready to resume dating and finding a possible partner or just to do something, dude. And I told him that. Now, I don't think he's trying to date me. That's not the case because he's a little young too. But I had another one even younger trying to holler. I was like, I'm trying to hook up my nieces. It's like, again, once again, Kate, gonna have you single. I know you got the baby, but I don't know if you're single or, So that's my thing. Like, I am finally feeling like I'm ready to date. I feel like I am healed enough where I can give myself to someone and be open and free without having set expectations. I think a lot of times we as humans, not just me as a woman, but we as humans, especially as of late in the last 10 years, have these expectations of what relationships or friendship, dating or whatever should look like based on what social media presents to us, where we feel like we're supposed to go to restaurants that aren't chain. Yeah, I rolled my eyes. That aren't chain restaurants, and we're supposed to get these gifts or go on weekends and go away on trips, and they have to look a certain way, like a Tyler Perry movie, and that's not necessarily what's out there. And especially as you move north of 40, baby, that's really not what's out there. I remember having a conversation with a young woman once, and she was explaining her expectations of what she wanted in a partner, and baby, that list was rolling. Like he couldn't have more than however many kids, couldn't have been married more than such and such times. He had to have a certain religion. He only had to eat this. He only had to do that. He had to work out. He got to do. That list was so long. And she was in her mid-40s. And I was thinking, who you gonna find? Who you about to find? Because it's hard for high schoolers to find that now. It's definitely harder in college. And as you move north of 40, no children, never been married, no, met so many wives, and have to be the same this and have to work out and have to do that and that. I just like, woo-wee. I thought about the sermon that my pastor preached. I had two pastors that preached it. Are you the person that you're looking for? What are you? Are you the person that the person you're looking for is looking for? Like you want this particular type of person, but that particular type of person, are they looking for you? Because I know I got some hangups. It's not baggage or luggage like I used to. I guess I got an old satchel purse. I got a few things in it. But at this point in 53, you do begin to have certain, some things that you have standards, and not that you have to lower your standards, but you may need to adjust them. Where you may say, "Oh, I want a guy to work out this and another." Yes, but he may have high blood pressure, or he may have cholesterol issues. There is an ex-wife and possibly a baby mama. So you do have to readjust your standards of what you expect or want as you move north of 40 and darn sure north of 50, because this is when them jokers starting to have severe health issues. Can you sleep with a CPAP? Because he probably has one. And he may have ED. How important is your sexual life, your intimacy? Because he may have that dysfunction. So those are the things you may have to adjust. And that's when you have already spoken on the intangibles. You begin to think about, okay, no, he doesn't make six figures and he's possibly getting ready to retire. So he doesn't work. He doesn't work out. He has a bad knee and a sore back. And he still, has that ex-wife and they got grandkids together. So you begin to adjust your standards of what your expectations are in a mate. And I think I've mastered that at this point. So I know a few months, I don't know, a few episodes ago, I said I'm ready to become a we in an hour. O-U-R, not H-O-U-R. I want to be an hour. And we and us and ours. So I'm finally getting to the point where I'm open. But here I am with like thousands, if not millions of other women. Yes, we want to date. Yes, we want that partnership. Yes, we want to do something, dude. But we at home. We at home. We want to go to the comedy concert, comedy show to see Mojo Brooks. We want to go. But we at home. I don't know where we go meet this companion to go to the comedy show or to the concert or the dinner or brunch, a day party or jet ski or the waterside concerts, the balloon takeoffs, because we're at home. So where are we going to meet him? If he goes to church with us, we already know him. If he work with us, we already know him. And please don't date your coworkers, because I keep saying everybody dies at the end of that movie. I've seen it a million times. But where do we go? Where do we find them? So I'm one of those women now where I'm open, but I'm at home making podcasts episodes. This was actually a very refreshing episode. I think I need to start doing this a little more. Next time, I will discuss the heavy topic, but I think this was probably pretty good. I think I needed to have a very light episode because last week, like I said, Rail had me in tears, and I'm not a crier, despite somebody's belief that I am. I'm not. I don't cry easily. I am one that believes in suffering, silence, and crying in the dark. It's very rare someone can see me in tears. Very rare. I just hold it. Get it from my mama. Hold it. What you crying for? And I tend to hold my tears in, but Rail got me. So once again, thank you, Big Rell. Everyone look for information on 989 Day in Saginaw, Michigan. Not any other place. Saginaw, Michigan. So once again, thank you, Big Rell. And thank you for attending this episode on the Dick and Conversation podcast with Elissa. You've been listening to me on Amazon, iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, or watching me on YouTube or possibly watching me on Spotify. You can always contact me on my socials, Dick and Conversation Podcast Facebook page, also on my YouTube channel, Dick and Conversation Podcast. You can also contact me via email at dickandconvo@gmail.com, or you can look at me on, or not look at me, well, you'll look at me, contact me through Instagram at Dick and Conversation _podcast. I'm also on TikTok. How did I forget that? I'm also on TikTok as Dick and Conversation Podcast. And finally on Blue Sky, dickandconvo.bsky.social and Threads. See, that social media keeps growing. My Threads is Dick and Conversation _podcast, same as Instagram. Once again, this has been Elissa, and next time I'll have a whole full show. Thank you for joining me.